All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. First of all, hi everyone, and thanks again. Thank you so much for joining our webinar and taking the time out of your busy schedules to learn about Vtiger's LMS, or Learning Management System. So today's webinar is hosted by myself, Josh Rich, and my colleague, Matthew Costello.
Hi everyone, thanks again for joining.
We are both customer success consultants here at Vtiger, and we're both really excited to dive into the LMS feature with y'all today. So LMS is available as a paid add-on for the One Professional and One Enterprise editions of our CRM. And just as a side note, it is currently free for all of our users until December 31st, 2022. So definitely install it and check it out if you're interested in this. So let's get started by going over the agenda. So I'm going to start off the webinar by running through a few slides that will give you an introduction to LMS and what it is. And next, I'll be covering how the LMS can be used for employee onboarding, coaching, and training, and for customer and partner training and onboarding as well. From there, we'll go over some of the benefits of having a learning management system in the CRM. And finally, I'll be breaking down all of the LMS features before passing the webinar over to Matthew for a live demo. Matthew is then going to show you what a published LMS looks like before breaking down the entire process of implementing and using the LMS feature in Vtiger. And then lastly, we're going to wrap up the webinar with a 15-minute Q&A session where you can ask any questions you may have about the LMS feature. So let's get started with what is a learning management system, or LMS. So a learning management system, or LMS, is software that is used for creating, managing, implementing, and delivering educational courses and development programs. So LMS can be used for all of your internal teams for onboarding, training, and coaching purposes. And it can be used for educational and training purposes for your external customers and partners to help them learn more about the products and services you offer. So let's discuss how LMS can be used for employee onboarding, coaching, and training. So first, an LMS can improve sales readiness by helping new employees learn faster and enhance their overall performance. The ability to create detailed onboarding courses provides a structured learning environment for new hires that will enhance their sales skills and test their knowledge at the same time. So one of the results is that sales managers will be able to identify which sales reps are ready to start selling sooner. And the sales managers will also have confidence that the new hires have the required skills needed to start selling by reviewing the courses they've completed and their quiz scores. Improve consistency through a centralized system. So because the LMS is part of the CRM, managers don't need to worry about updating or keeping track of other learning platforms and tools. Having training and coaching content scattered throughout other tools can definitely lead to inconsistency regarding how up-to-date the content is and who is accessing which content. So Vtiger's LMS will help to provide consistent and relevant training and coaching content, all located in a centralized system. It's also going to help your mentors and trainers use their time more effectively. So mentors and trainers can, it'll free up some time so they can use their time to focus on more urgent matters, such as the specific needs or hurdles that their new hires are facing, and allow the LMS to provide the necessary training that would previously consume their time. LMS also provides the option for a single sign-on for your users. So this allows your users to log into the CRM and LMS by using one username and password. So this means your users and admins don't have to switch between screens or apps to log in. They also don't need to keep track of multiple credentials to access the learning materials. Now let's discuss how LMS can be used for customer and partner training and onboarding. So to start with, the LMS will help to delight your customers and partners by providing them with the skills and knowledge they need to be successful with the product or services you're selling through structured learning programs. So your customers and partners can take and complete courses at their own pace, which will help pave the way for a smooth onboarding process and will also help tremendously with customer retention as well. Next is certificates. So upon the completion of a course, the LMS allows for automated distribution of certificates. These certificates can be distributed to users, customers, and partners, and really helps to provide an official record of their accomplishments. The image on this slide is a certificate distributed through our LMS that I received for completing Vtiger's Prevention of Sexual Harassment at Workplace course. An LMS can also help to minimize the workload of your support teams by providing your customers with the training and knowledge they need to understand and become successful with your products or services. So your support team will greatly benefit from reduced customer queries. Also, if your support team is noticing a trend in frequently asked questions, your marketing team can produce courses intended to specifically address those questions and educate your customers further. This will also help to reduce the number of inquiries surrounding the specific topics in question. And lastly, we have generate leads through the LMS portal. So the LMS portal can also be used to generate leads by offering specific courses to educate your customers or prospects. So once a prospect signs in to the LMS portal, a new contact record can then be automatically created in the CRM. I do feel it's always helpful to review some statistics highlighting the benefits of features we discuss in these webinars. So I have two quick statistics regarding LMS. The first statistic, according to Forbes, is that 58% of employees prefer self-paced training. So although you can, set deadlines for courses to be completed, our LMS can be utilized to provide training on your user's own schedule. So there'll be no need to panic if a user misses an in-person training session, as the courses can be taken and completed as long as the user has access to the internet. The second statistic, according to Software Advice, is that an LMS can increase training efficiency by up to 93%. So this statistic speaks for itself and just proves how beneficial a learning management system can be for internal and external training. Next, I just want to briefly go over some additional benefits of having LMS in a CRM. So improve effectiveness through just-in-time learning. So the coaching module, which is a separate module from LMS in the CRM, and it's part of our Calculus AI feature, but just-in-time learning can bring the two modules together. So for example, if a coach sees that there are areas where employees can improve when reviewing calls or emails, the coach can suggest LMS courses for the employee to complete directly from the coach's module. So the screenshot on the right-hand side of the screen shows the coach's module and a call that's being reviewed. And you can see in the lower right-hand corner that with just a couple of clicks, the reviewer is able to suggest LMS courses for the user to take that will help to enhance their phone calls in the future. Next, we have consistent and continuous coaching and training of existing employees. So as mentioned earlier, I just want to reiterate how important and intricate implementing an LMS in your CRM is. So having all of your educational, coaching, and training content available on one platform really will benefit your customers and employees by helping to maintain consistency and accuracy amongst all of your content. And next, we have lead scoring and engagement scoring is more comprehensive. So with LMS, your sales and marketing teams can get a more rounded view of how likely your lead might be to closing a deal based on their profile score and engagement score, which is updated and increased when a record is set as an active student or every time they engage with the courses on the LMS portal. And lastly, we have gain valuable analytics and improve content based on engagement data. So marketing teams and sales teams alike can gain valuable analytics on their prospects and existing customers by running reports detailing the engagement they've had with the learning management system. Marketing teams and management can then tweak those courses and content based on pass rates, completion rates, and overall scores on courses. So as well as they can also gain insight into what's working and what's not, so they can improve future courses. Sales reps can also take advantage of these analytics. They can reach out to their prospects or existing customers who have shown interest in specific courses for selling, upselling, and cross-selling purposes. So the last slide I have before I pass this webinar off to Matthew covers the specific features of our LMS. So our LMS is broken down into 6 features: courses, concepts, exercises, quizzes, questions, and the LMS portal. So to start with, we'll start with courses. So we can think of each course as an individual book focused on a specific learning objective. And then each course can have a set of concepts. Concepts are similar to different chapters in the book. So your content can be in the form of PDFs, presentations, documents, or videos. You can even create certification courses incorporating all or parts of these capabilities. Next, we have exercises. So exercises will come at the end of a concept so that learners can test themselves to ensure they have learned and retained the information being delivered in each concept. And exercises also help prepare the taker of the course for the quiz by helping them to understand the concepts further by applying them to different scenarios or use cases in the form of questions. Next, we have quizzes. So a quiz is similar to a final test or exam. So they're always placed at the end of a course, and if implemented, need to be passed in order to pass the course and or earn a certificate. Next, we have questions, or a question bank, as we sometimes refer to it. So our question bank allows you to create and store questions that can then be applied to exercises and quizzes. And finally, we have the LMS portal. So this is where users, customers, prospects, or partners can sign in and access the published courses created for LMS, or view any certificates or download any certificates they have earned. So now that you have a little better understanding of what our LMS feature is and some of its benefits, I'm going to pass the webinar off to Matthew for a live demo of the LMS feature. So thanks again for participating, and I will talk to you all again during the Q&A session at the end of this webinar. So Matthew, it's all yours.
All right, thank you, Josh. And yeah, let me share my screen here real quick. All right, I hope you can all see this. So I'm actually going to start this in a unique spot, because what I really want to show off first here is what the LMS will look like once you're in a portal and once you've actually started adding courses to it. So I'm actually, because this isn't just a feature we've rolled out for our customers, this is actually a feature we are using internally at Vtiger as well. So we have, you may or may not be familiar with a new resource we've released called Vtiger Academy, which is actually us using the LMS to build out courses for all of you to take. And we also use it for internal courses as well. So you can also, if you go onto our website, you can just search Vtiger Academy and you'll see this exact same page. So there's a few things I want to point at first here before I even get to the courses themselves. Anyone that signs in, right now I'm just signed in as a test customer. You'll first see your points that you've been awarded. Right now I haven't completed any courses, so it says 0 points. Any course you complete will be 100 points. If there's a quiz associated with that course, that will be an additional 50 points if it is passed. Beyond that, if you click here, you can pull up any certificates you've earned for download, and you can also sign out from here as well. So if we scroll down, you will have an option to search through all of the courses that are in the LMS and available to you. And right below that is actually going to be the most recent course you were taking. So anyone you may have started progressing through, you may have taken some concepts, but then got busy with another task and had to move away from the LMS portal. If you come back, it'll have the option to continue right where you left off in your most recent course. And below that, it will show off any additional in-progress courses you are working on. If you'll notice here, this one actually has a certification associated with it. This one does not, and it's just the training itself. And then below that will be all of the additional courses you have available to take. And this is going to be the category they are put in. And to give you an even better view of this, let's just go into this course that has the certification. This is once you have already signed up to take the course. It'll start off with the course introduction, which will be the description of the course that you've added in. And then it will start breaking down the concepts here on left tabs. There's often, if you have a video or a document and a description of that, it'll be there. Once you watch it, you can click next concept, and it'll give you a check mark for each one. And this one, we actually do have a quiz at the end as well. Generally, how we recommend setting this up is that the quiz will actually play into the concepts that are going to be in the videos or documents you have in the concepts. So it will be required to pass that quiz to first watch or learn about those teachings that are in each concept. If we go back to courses. So this is sort of what it will look like once you have this set up and ready for use for your customers and users. So now I want to jump into how you actually can begin adding this into your CRM and actually setting up a course for yourself. So here I'm going to jump into our personal instance. And let's just start off. Most people, when you first log in, will be in the actions page. But to actually add in the LMS into your CRM, you just want to go into the menu first, and then the add-ons button in the bottom left-hand corner. Let's wait for it to load. But what you're looking for in this page is just going to be an option called LMS. Vtiger LMS. It should be close to the top since it is a newer feature we've added into the add-ons or extension store. To install it, you can just click the install button here. Or if you want to learn about some additional details first, you can click more details and then install it. The nice thing too is once it's installed, and it is free, as Josh mentioned, until December 31st. If you give it a try and decide you don't want it, you can always come back to this page and uninstall it before that time frame is up. So once it's installed, you will then be able to go back to your CRM, go into the menu, and you'll now notice at the bottom of your apps here on the left-hand side, there will be LMS now available at the bottom. And the features shown here are showing in the exact same way Josh mentioned in his presentation, where it's courses, concepts, exercises, quizzes, questions, and then the LMS portal itself. And we're going to be starting off with courses. And one thing it's important to keep in mind is these are all very progressive. So it really, you do want to build it out kind of in the same way that they're showing up in this order. So you usually want to start off by creating your course. You can create your concepts. And then from there, you might have an idea of exercises you want to create from those concepts. So you can begin creating just the template for the exercise and then start creating some questions and linking them to those exercises. And then finally, you can create your quiz along with the questions for that quiz that can be added in. So to save time, I do have a course created already. So for this one, because we do think a huge benefit of the LMS is going to be helping with internal training procedures. So I have actually created one called support escalation procedures. So that's meant to detail escalation that might need to happen for the support team. So it gives scenarios that they might run into where they would need to escalate, or some that they might not need to, and things they should be able to handle on their own. So let's take a look at the summary page for this first. If you can see here, I do have a description of the course added in, which will show up at the first page of the course once they have signed up to take it. And I've also embedded a video as well for the initial course, which will show up on that page too. Now, the nice thing about this is every course, every concept, the exercises and quizzes, they will also have responses to them. So you can see who has signed up, who has completed it, and who might also just have it in progress. So he has not started, he's signed up, but has not moved further into the course itself. So it's just in progress at the moment. If he started finishing some concepts, it would update the progress as he went along. From there, you can see we have the concepts we've created linked to the course. We have the exercise. This is actually initially linked to our support level 2 escalation, but it will also show up on the course itself. And then the quiz we've created too. And before I jump into each one of these, I do want to point out a few things on this page. The first is that you notice the summary page is very similar to all the other modules in the CRM, but there is this up here. So right now I do have it set to published. Once a course is set as published, it will show up in your LMS portal. If it is set to draft or inactive, it will no longer be available in the portal itself. You'll just still have the layout you've created in the CRM. And if you were going to be creating a new one, this would be the page you'd see where you would have to put in the course name, who it's assigned to. You'd have a place to put the description. But then there's a few additional fields here I want to cover before I even move on to concepts. The first one is you have the option to embed a video URL. And I do have one embedded. Let me see if I have. Oh, sorry, let me go back. I thought I had a YouTube video pulled up for this. I do not. Okay. So there's a couple ways you can actually embed a video URL. You do need the specific URL that's intended to embed the video. So just having the video URL itself won't work. You do need the embedded URL. But this is fairly simple to get. If you go on YouTube, on any video, you should see a share option. Once you click that, you'll see the embed option. You just want to copy and paste the URL itself after clicking that into this field. Other file sharing services have this same option. Google Drive has ways you can pull an embedded video URL. I'm sure Dropbox does as well, and many others. So there's a lot of ways you can get these URLs to add them into your courses. From there, you have the status, which I already covered. And then we have the courses completed when. So this is when how you can set when the portal will consider when the course is complete. So you could have it set to just when all concepts are completed. So if you just wanted to have a quiz added, but not have it play into if the course is counted as 100% completed, you could have it set to just all concepts. You could have it specifically to when they pass the quiz itself. So the concepts won't play a part in that. Or you could have it to where they need to complete all the concepts and the quiz for the course to be counted as fully complete. Beyond that, you have an option to set a dependency course. So this is great if, and again, this whole feature kind of works on progression. So the dependency course will work well if you have different levels of training that are needed. So if you have, say, different levels of support training you want to have set up, you could have like beginner support training, advanced, and intermediate, and you want them to be taken in order. You would first create the beginner course, then you can create the intermediate course and set the dependency course as beginner. So they would have to finish the beginner course first before they could take the intermediate course. And then in that same format, create that advanced course and set the dependency course as the intermediate course. So again, it's all about setting up that progression between those courses. And that would just be done by linking that course right here. Finally, you can set the category. Right now, you'll have these by default. This is like all other pick lists in the CRM. If you go into settings and then pick list field values, you can add additional options here, which can help you categorize your courses a bit more thoroughly in the portal if that is needed. This is going to be an important one, is the public toggle button. So this is going to set whether the course is public or private. If it's public, it'll be available for everyone that is going onto your LMS portal. If it is not public and just private, only users that have signed in will be able to see the course and take it. Beyond that, we have the certification, which Josh also mentioned in his presentation. But here's where you can actually link the certification you want to use. These are just going to be print templates you can create. We do have a sample one already available you can use as a template to create additional certifications. Adding that in will make it available as a PDF to be downloaded once the course is complete. We have an option to set repeat frequency. So if you know this is a course, especially if maybe it's an internal training course or an HR course that you know has to be taken every year to keep your team up to date or follow legal procedures, you can set a repeat frequency for the course so they know every year they'll need to come back and take this course. And finally, you can set who it is actually mandatory for. So if you know you need to have your level 1 support team members taking this course, you can set it mandatory for them, and then everyone else will still see it but not have to take it on the portal. So with that, you'll have your course created. And from there, you can begin adding your concepts and then your additional exercises to those concepts and your quizzes. So let's jump into concepts next. And these will be, again, our courses are our book. Our concepts are going to be our chapters in that book. And so there's a few ways you can create concepts. One is you can do so in a number of ways directly from the course itself. You can do so just by clicking the three dots up here and then clicking concepts. You could also click the plus button right here in one view to create a brand new concept, or if you already have a concept created you want to link, you can just click this link button here to link an existing concept to the course. So let's go into, let's do my support level 2 escalation concept. Both these are fairly similar. I'm choosing this one because it has an exercise link to it as well. So we can kind of go this in the progression, it'll show up once the course has been fully published and is on the portal. So the concept, the summary page, you'll notice is similar, but not exactly the same as the course. For one, you have this activity section down here. So you'll be able to comment, mention users. It works the same way in all of our other modules, where if you just type in @ you can select users or groups to mention them on this concept from this section here. Or if you just want to make internal comments as well, for your reference, you can just add those in as needed. You can set up a description. This will show up for people that are taking this concept in the course. And from here, let me kind of show you how this is set up, since there are a few fields in here that I want to touch upon as well. So when you're first creating this concept, you'll see these fields show up, where you have the name assigned to and description, same as the course. But one is that it will be mandatory to link a course to the concept. So this is why we recommend following this in this progression that it shows up in that menu, where you create the course first, because the concepts have to be linked to a course. So from here, we have our support escalation procedures course linked. And I actually have another video embedded as well. I'm following that same embedding process as previously mentioned. And finally, if you wish to, you can set an estimation time. So if you know you have a general idea of how long it should take to get through this concept, you can set an estimation time for it. So the person taking the concept has a good idea of, okay, I need to set aside this much time if I'm going to be taking this course and each of these concepts. Yeah, the concepts are a bit simpler to set up. They're more of a template where you can embed the videos or link documents, set it up a description. And finally, I do want to touch upon, so you can set link documents from here. If you have articles created in the CRM, you can link those here. But right now I just have an exercise created and linked. In the exact same way as in the course, you can create these in a couple of ways. Clicking the three dots, you can add or link it here. Or if clicking the exercises tab will let you add or link those exercises here as well. So let us jump into our exercise that is linked to this concept. So this is where things are going to get a little bit different. So the exercise is going to be the first record where you can select questions to be added to it. And when you're first creating the exercise, it's going to look like this. So before I even jump into any of this page, let me show you what it will look like when you're creating your exercise initially. So if we edit this, similar to before, you'll need to have a name for the exercise. You will be required to link it to a concept and a course, which is why, again, it's all about progression. So once you have your concept and then course created, it'll link those automatically if you create it from the concept that is already linked to a course. It'll pull those in automatically into those fields. Description, this will show up before it actually brings up the question I need to answer in the exercise, or question or exercise or example or scenario. From there, you have who this record itself is assigned to internally, and a pass threshold if you want to set one. So right now I have one question for this exercise. So I figured it, and it's a text area question. So it's one that's reviewed by a manager and just seeing how they handle the scenario that's put in place for them. So for this, I'm just leaving pass threshold as 0. As long as they answer it, they'll be able to move on. Show response means it'll show their response that they type out for the exercise or question that's in the exercise. Here you can set the exercise type, whether it's fixed or random. We're setting it to fixed just because we just have one question, so having it random won't make a difference. And finally, shuffle means it'll also have the option to shuffle the questions you add. If you have a large number of questions you're adding into an exercise, especially if they might be multiple choice questions, you could have them shuffled up. That way, if they choose to take the exercise again, it'll actually be a bit different, so memorization won't help as much in that process. This becomes more useful in the quiz itself rather than the exercises, as the exercises are meant more for just helping them better understand the concepts that are being taught rather than as a graded process that will affect their completion of the course. So once that's created, you have those fields added out. You will then see this page here. And I have a question added, but if you don't have a question yet, this will be blank. From there, you can select questions you've created. Right now, if we clear those options, you'll see a few show up here as well. I have the one I want linked to it, but you'll see additional question types that have the scope that include exercise there. So you could add additional questions if you like. And again, those are all pulled from the question bank, and I will be getting to that shortly in this next portion here. But yeah, I'm saving that to last just because usually in this process, you'll begin building out the outlines for your course, the outlines for your concepts, and then even the outlines for your exercise and even quiz first before you even understand the full questions you want to add in first into your question bank, and then pull them into the exercises and quizzes from there. But yeah, once you have your question added, you'll see it up here. You'll see it here. It'll say what number. If you have a lot of questions, it'll have them numbered for you. The question itself, the question type. This can be set when you're creating the question, so it can be easy, medium, or hard, and this will affect the weightage because there's just one. It's just going to be 100%. But if you have a number of additional questions in there, you'll notice that easy questions have a lower weight percentage than medium, and those have a lower weight percentage than hard. And it is weighted. So say we have two, and I can show an example of this too. But if you have two, one's easy and one's medium, the easy question will have 33% weighted, 33.3 roughly. The medium one will have 66.6% of weightage. And all of that affects the overall percentage score once they take the quiz or exercise. Beyond there, you can see responses. As this is, I did create a text area question. You'll see that it says attempted and doesn't have correct answers yet. You'll have the option to view the responses of each user as well. And finally, you can review them. So if you're the manager or an admin on the CRM, you'll have the option to review them and then score them as well. So if they pass or fail after review. That will be true for text area questions. If you set up like radio or true false questions, those will be, you'll be able to set an answer automatically for those, and they'll be graded automatically by the system when they give their responses. Now, before we jump in, I do want to point out we are in the analytics tab. This works in the same way as it does in all the other modules in the CRM. We can create charts or mini lists and then have them linked to the exercise itself. You have the activity. So instead of being here as it was in the concept, the activity section is actually here where you can post comments and mention other users, or just make internal comments for yourself. And finally, the details section, which just gives you a quick way to view the fields. So from here, I actually want to go into questions, and then I'll jump into the quiz. So questions, as Joss mentioned too, we also like to refer it as a question bank, just because you're going to be creating your questions as they come, setting up the scope for them, and linking them to a course. So for example, I have, actually, you know what, for just as an example, let's go through creating a brand new one instead of going through one I've already created. So when you're first creating a question, you'll just click the add question button up top. Then you'll want to set the question type. And there's a few options here. There's the text area option, which, although you have your question you write out, it will then give the person taking the exercise or quiz a text area as well they have to write out a response for. So think of it as like a short answer question. From there you have radio. These, you write out your question. And from there you can add in options, radio options. So you could have yes or no. And then from there, you can select the correct answer from between those. Checkbox works in a similar way. It'll just be a checkbox instead of a radio icon. And the checkbox will also allow you to select multiple correct answers. So if it's yes and maybe, it would be correct. There's dropdown. This works similar to radio, although it will give the available answer options as a drop-down list. They can select them, and then you can select the correct answer from the list of them there. Agree, disagree will give you a 5-point scale between strongly disagree and strongly agree as the responses, and you can select the correct option out of those if you have questions that would relate to that those points. And finally, a file upload. So if you have a question, but instead of having them write it out, you want it to be uploaded as a document or a file, you could have that as an option as well. Once that is done, you would set the scope of it. So if you just want it to be available for exercises, just quizzes are both exercises and quizzes, you could set that here. You would set the difficulty level, which again will affect the weightage percentage for this individual question. The course, it is going to be required to link this to a course. So if you have, that's why we recommend creating that course first. You would select your course. You can link it to a concept as well if you wish. That one isn't required, and then who it's assigned to. So that's the basic structure of creating these individual questions. Once you have the questions created, they can then be added into your exercises or quizzes as needed from the summary pages of those quizzes. So for this last step, let's look at the quiz I created for the course. Now, quizzes are going to be like the, think of it in terms, so we created our book and we created our chapters. We created some exercises at the end of those chapters to help build upon the concepts we taught. And finally, let's say we reached the very end, and think of it as like a college course, and we created a final for that college course. That's what this quiz really is. It's always going to be at the end of a course once it's linked to it. And a great way to build these out is to have it be questions that cover all the concepts in different ways to make sure that the concepts taught were attained by the user or the customer. So here you can see we have 2 questions added. Again, I made these fairly simple just as a good way to walk through this process. If you want to add additional questions in the same way, you can click Set Questions. It'll have those options pop up and you can add them in. You can also move the order of these if you wish. You can have that be 1 and that be 2. And if you have a long order of questions, you can move them around as needed or remove them entirely just by clicking the delete icon to the right of them. Beyond that, similar to the exercise, you can see the responses. And if you have text area questions or reviews as well. You have the identical tabs as we did in the exercise as well, except you can link a document to this quiz for additional help. And let's actually edit this quiz. You'll notice there's a few, it's very similar to setting up an exercise. There's just a couple additional things I want to show here when you're creating a quiz. So the first, just of the type, fixed or random. You can set a pass threshold for it. So if you want the person to at least get a 70%, 60%, 50%, whatever you want that pass threshold to be, you can set it here. You can have the question shuffled. I have 2, but I have them shuffled anyway. And this is where it becomes beneficial to do that potentially, because you can allow for the users or customers to retry the quiz multiple times. So you can set retries to say 3, and they have to wait 10 minutes in between retries. And you can also set a time limit for the quiz as well. So if you want them to only have say 20 minutes to take the quiz, so they don't have too much time to research things and just have to answer off the top of their heads, you can set a time limit for the quiz. And once that's created and it's linked to our course, we have everything ready to go. So if I go back down to the course, we can double check and make sure it is published, which it is. And the nice thing about this, as Jessica mentioned, it's single sign-on. So any user that is signed in, if they just go to the LMS app and go to the LMS portal, it will take you to your the portal in your CRM with your courses available for your users. And this will show, again, as if they're signed on as a user in particular, their courses, the internal courses, and also the public courses as well. So here we can see our new one. I have actually already taken and completed the course that has been created. But if we go in, we should see all of our concepts, our introduction we created, our individual concepts, along with our exercise, which we can see there, our quiz, and our certification. And this is a great one too. That's a rough outline of how you can begin setting up your courses, creating concepts for those courses, creating exercises and quizzes for the course as well. I highly recommend playing around with this a bit more. Maybe try setting up just a simple course, get a feel for how you can do so and how the description plays into what's displayed, how embedding videos plays into what's displayed, and how you can work on creating very interesting, engaging exercises and quizzes for those taking your courses. And I wanted to point out too, if we notice here, I have 150 points. That is because, yeah, I completed the course itself and I passed the quiz. The quiz was 50 points, the course was 100. And that'll build up for the user as they continue taking courses that you create. So with that, that's a rough breakdown of actually setting up LMS in the CRM. I'm going to pass this back off to Josh to finish up a few slides on the presentation, and then we can jump into the Q&A.
All right. Thanks, Matthew. Just a couple more kind of finishing slides here. So just want to talk briefly about what else is available in Vtiger CRM. So, there's so many features and modules, and we're constantly adding new features and enhancing our existing features, from inventory management to help desk, obviously marketing and sales enablement, to automation. But we just want to point out some other things. Definitely explore the different editions and what's available. It's always good to kind of check back in on the Vtiger pricing page where you can get a detailed list of all the features, and compare those features side by side with the additions, so you can see what else is being added, and what you might get if you step up as well. So we do just want to thank you again for joining. If you leave this webinar after the Q&A and have another question about this feature or anything else in Vtiger, definitely reach out to us through our different support channels. So you can visit our website, visit the contact us section, and this will list out again all the different options, whether you want to talk to a support representative in a live chat environment. You can always email into support@vtiger.com. If you have any suggestions for future webinars, if you want to see webinars on specific features or have any feedback about this webinar, or any questions, you can definitely write into support@vtiger.com. Typically, you'll get a response within the hour. So we really do appreciate your feedback, and that's how a lot of these features and enhancements come to be, is through customer suggestions and feedback. You can also reach out to us through traditional phone channels as well. So visit the contact us section on our website and reach out to us if you have any questions or suggestions for us in the future. So we will start our Q&A session now, and we'll go for about 15 minutes. So I see there's already a couple questions in there, but yeah, feel free to answer or ask any questions, big or small. And thanks again.
Yeah, and I'll start off with answering this first one here by Kathy. So they mentioned they offer parenting classes where the output is HTML, not a YouTube video. So how would the customer access the lessons? Would the best approach be to put the URL in the description field that they would click? So from there, yeah, if the output is HTML for those videos, because every sharing platform generally has a way to obtain an embedded URL for a video itself. So one thing I would recommend doing is seeing if that is a possibility with those. But beyond that, yeah, you could just put in the URL in the description field that they could click to take them to the videos themselves. On top of that, right now, this product is very early on in the creation process. So it is best used right now, honestly, for internal training more so than for customer training beyond just offering basic courses for your product or service. Kathy mentions they have a paid process for taking courses. We don't really have a way right now that someone could pay and gain access to courses through the LMS. What you can do is you can host the LMS URL on your website on a page, or just have a link to it on your website for your company, which will take them to the LMS portal. Because the only way to it's not the only way to access it is through the CRM. That URL that you're on for the portal can be used to access it by your customers as well. So that would be a way for them to reach it, but they would be able to create an account for it or log in from that portal to access at least the courses you make public. They wouldn't be able to access the ones you made private.
Yeah, and that sort of answers the next question as well, which is how can I share this course to my customers? And how can I create users so my customers can see the courses? So basically, there's a default email template that has been created where you can send that email template to your customers, and there'll be a sign up link in that email that's sent out. So like Matthew said, as long as the course is marked as public, as long as they have the sign up link and sign up, then they can access those courses.
Yeah, and let me actually show one additional thing here in relation to that. Get a few things away from my screen here. So yeah, so say you wanted to give contact one, you definitely want to make sure that the courses you've created, some are public. If they aren't public courses, your contacts won't be able to view them. Only your users that are added in the CRM will be able to view them. So the first step would be making sure you create courses. I believe this one might be a public one. Oh, it is not either, but you would want to make sure it is set as public. If it's not, contacts wouldn't be able to view it. But from there, if we go into, let's just go into a contact record. Once you have LMS added, it actually will add a new field into your contacts module as well, which is going to be called, I believe it's called active student. Let's edit this. Yep, active student. So if you set them as yes, it should automatically send off that email template, which will give them that sign up link for your portal, as well as the link to the portal itself. So that's a quick way to do it. Another way, like it's an approach we've taken here at Vtiger, is just having a link to the portal. So if we go to our portal, so this is actually going to be your LMS portal. You can take this link and you can have it linked somewhere on your website as well. And clicking on that will bring any customer to this. And let's say I sign out of just the portal itself. Oh, that logged me out of CRM. Sorry, let me actually show you in here. So in Vtiger Academy, if I sign out, you'll see the option to see the option to sign up here as well, or log in as well. And signing up, they just need an email address. So anyone that has access to the portal URL can choose to sign up from this page here. Yeah, and for additional context, they will actually need to sign up to, even if they are publicly accessing your portal, they will still need to at least sign up with an email address to be able to access the courses. So the link that you would share is actually just the URL for your portal, and a quick way to view that is just in your CRM itself. So if you go into LMS, you can go into your LMS portal. It would be that right there. And this yours is going to look a bit different from ours. This is the one that's local to our instance. But so yours will probably have your system URL here.
And then Matthew, if you go to email templates as well, there should be a default email template that they could, quickly send an email from a contact record that will then provide them with the link as well.
Oh, yeah, yeah. If it wants to load. Did I get logged out? Oh, yeah.
I think you logged out.
I think I logged out. Apologies. Let me log back in real quick here. Oops. I am missing. There we go. Yeah. So yeah, once you have it installed, you'll have these two templates actually available here. The one you'll be looking for is called Learning Management System Signup Link. If we go into what this looks like, it's a simple one, but this link will take you to the actual LMS portal as well. And you can modify this template as needed just by editing it. So if you wanted to add in some additional graphics related to your company, the main purpose here is just this link here, which takes you to the portal for your CRM instance. Yeah, and these can be used not only by setting them as active student, but if you just wanted to send it to them individually, you can always just go into a contact record or from the list view. So my Wi-Fi is being a little finicky today. Go into list view, you can send them an email and pull it from the template here as well. Wants to load. Yeah, so you can pull it from there. It'll pull in the template. Then you can modify it just directly from here as well. Does anyone have any additional questions for us or any even just recommendations? Because right now this is a early edition of this feature. If there's something else you would want to get out of an LMS system that doesn't appear to be available at the moment, we would be happy to pass it along to our product management team as well, because we are looking to improve even further upon our LMS system. Thank you for the recommendation, Kathy. Yeah, I will absolutely pass that on to our team because I do not believe that is. She recommended that the users be able to export their responses that they've given for the courses. And just to check, by print their answers, because probably the way we'd approach it is probably in a PDF format or even in a CSV file. Be able to print their answers. Oh, PDF would be fine. Okay. Yeah, I will absolutely pass that along to our team as a recommendation for moving on to the future. Because I believe it is possible to view your responses, but not print them out at the moment. So I will absolutely pass that along. That's to it.
Yeah, we'll also pass along, the ability for customers to pay and then get access to a class. I think generally speaking, unless you have the LMS pointed, a link to it on your website directly, you could probably hold back the link until they pay, and then you would send them the link to gain access.
You wouldn't be able to fine tune the courses that are available once they are able to sign in yet.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's a good suggestion as well. So we'll certainly pass that along.
And someone else mentioned they run courses via Zoom. Could this be included in LMS? And I do have a follow up on this. So when you mentioned you run courses via Zoom, are you wanting to be able to have Zoom? I apologize. I don't think I fully understand how you would like the two to interact. Is it more like you would want LMS to fully be compatible with the people in the Zoom call, as in like they could interact with the course together as a group through Zoom? Or is there actually a feature of Zoom I am unfamiliar with? Because I admit I don't know everything that Zoom has as features. They're for that one in particular, I think it would be beneficial if you could lay it out a bit further of what you're specifically looking for and actually send it into support@vtiger.com, because we would be happy to fully understand what you're referring to in that context. And then our team can work on it and discuss it with you a bit further from there. All right, we're down to the last minute. Does anyone have any last minute questions they want to toss out to us before we end off this webinar?
Okay, well, as mentioned earlier, if you do have any additional questions, feel free to send an email to support@vtiger.com. We're very responsive. So if you have a question, that pops in your mind later, just takes a little more time to sort of elaborate on or to type out, that would be a good way to get a pretty quick answer to it. So once again, thank you, everybody. I hope everybody has a great rest of your day or night, depending where you are. And we want to just thank you once again for joining. These sessions we feel are really helpful for us and hopefully for you as well. So thanks again and take care.